Hey everybody, I'm Tom Barnes. This is the Story from the 78 podcast, kind of a behind-the-scenes look at all the things happening, at least in my world, a television producer in Chicago at CBS 2 Chicago, and also the website, storiesfromthe78.com. I mean, that's kind of why I'm doing the whole podcast, to give you kind of behind-the-scenes look. This week was a lot of fun, and it started off with Cubs opening day. Always a big deal for me. I love the Cubs. I was a season ticket holder for a long time. And to be able to hang out at Wrigley Field all morning long while all my friends are talking about coming to Wrigley, and we're walking through the bowels of Wrigley, spending time on the field, it was a lot of fun. I just told the story the other day because a friend of mine who works at WGN, he's a photographer, photojournalist, his name's Sean. We're talking, and if you talk to any camera person in the city of Chicago, they all know where the bathrooms are, because when you're out in the field and you're shooting video, you kind of need to go, you got to go sometimes, and you know good neighborhoods that you want to go and where you don't want to go. So have you ever taken Calm? It's like it's a magnesium thing. It helps you calm down, relaxes you, and there's magnesium in it, and it kind of makes you have to poop, right? So if you're a little bound up, it'll help you do that. So I made the mistake of taking Calm the night before because I was all amped up because it was opening day. And opening day for me is like Christmas Day. So very excited. Opening day, right? And we're at Wrigley Field, and I'm with Lou Kleinberg, who is a photographer, and Jackie Kostek. We're doing the thing for CBS 2, all this coverage and stuff like that. And we're in Wrigleyville, and we're outside of Wrigley. We're inside of Wrigley. We're outside. What I mean by that is we're going inside and outside. We invited Vienna Beef with us, and they had their hot dog cart. So we're giving out hot dogs on opening day. What better way to spend opening day is, hot dogs, baseball, fashion show at Clark Street Sports, going down to a bar called Almost Home, where QAnon was hanging, and my friend Giorgio, who works there, and Brian and Kinsey do the morning show over there. We visited them. Why am I telling you all this? Well, that all starts at like 4:30 in the morning. We all got to get there. Everybody's got to set up and do their thing. And, being at Wrigley Field before the sun rises and the sun rises over the field, it's wonderful. It's one of the best things. My most favorite thing to do as a producer in Chicago is to do something like that. And we got to do that. But one of the disadvantages of being there that early is that the bathrooms aren't open at Wrigley Field for like common folk. You know what I mean? They're closed, and they're not letting you in the clubhouse, because that never happens, Because why would they want somebody like me walking in the clubhouse on opening day, right, and getting the bathrooms dirty, right? So not that I'm gross or anything, but you know what I'm saying. So I had this moment of like the calm kicked in about, I don't know, maybe 6 o'clock in the morning. And I'm out on the street at Clark and Addison, and I'm going, oh God, oh no. Like the song was like, blah, 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 blah. So I was like, oh crap, literally. So Jackie, is like, I'm gonna go get some coffee. I'm like, you go get the coffee. I gotta go to the bathroom, So I'm like scrambling, thinking like I can't go to the McDonald's because that's not happening. Bathroom's not good there. Because you don't want to just go to any bathroom. You want to go to a nice, clean bathroom. Well, lo and behold, and thank God for the Zachary Hotel, because you go in there, you walk up to like the lobby area where they have the open seating, and you go all the way back, and they probably have the cleanest, nicest bathrooms in the city of Chicago for a field producer like myself. But either way, I digress. It was a great afternoon. I got to have lunch with some great people. The Cubs won. The wife came out. That was our first opening day at Wrigley Field. And we did these amazing segments on the air at CBS 2, where we had the women who started they have a pin company where they make these, it's called Big League pins. So here's one of their pins. And this is one of my favorites because it's the Chicago flag and with the hearts in it. So Big League pins. And over at Q101. And throughout the week, we did a lot of other fun things. We went to a place called Forbidden Root, and I also did a story on my website, storiesfromthe78.com. Got to be able to check that out. And it's another quick short video, but it really explains what Forbidden Root is. Or you can go over to the Jumpstart segment at CBS. The Ultimate Baby Shower, which is this, it's a big event that they have at a place in the city, CBS 2. Check that out again. But one of the more unique things that particular week was the solar eclipse. So everybody's going to have a story about it, I know, about where they were on the solar eclipse. But I happened to be in the office that day, which is far and few between just because I'm always out in the field doing these things. But it was the first time in a long time that I felt Chicago not being so at odds with everybody. Everybody came out, and we're downtown. We're at 22 West Washington, so right by Daily Plaza, downtown Chicago, right? So we all come outside. Everybody's got their glasses, and in fact, let me show you. These were the glasses. So, these are just fun little glasses, but this is for the Eclipse, right? B&H. I don't even think there's a B&H here. I think these guys are out of New York. Um, but everybody, went outside, and I got some really great photos. So I made like a little tiny story of the eclipse over at storiesfromthe78.com, among many other thousands of people who did as well. But one of the things I really wanted to take a moment and talk about specifically about that was this week is I got to go to a couple things. I posted a story about Chef Fabio Viviani about his bar and restaurant called Seville at the top of the Canopy Hotel. A really cool spot. I mean, the view of the Sears Tower on their patio is incredible. This space just opened in the winter, so January. So about this time right now, and we're in like mid-April, and it's 80 degrees today, and I'm wearing a sweatshirt. It's a great spot. They have incredible. They have this churro thing at the end of the night that you can order, and it's ridiculous. It is really good. The space is cool. They have like a big, huge like skylight, but I would recommend checking it out for the very fact that it's a cool spot in an area of the city that you probably haven't had many meals in, because it's kind of in the financial district at the Canopy Hotel. And the Canopy Hotel is really cool because it used to be a office building that was for rail yards or a railroad company. I don't remember which one, so I don't want to say the wrong one, but very cool thing to check out. Another thing I did for a 78 story was this group of women in Chicago. So Chicago has a huge Ukrainian population, so much so that there's a area of the city called Ukrainian Village. You get it, right? So the Chicago women, from either they're of Ukrainian descent or they're from the Ukraine in recent years before all this stuff happened with Russia and the war. These women just recently started it's called Ukrainian Women's Association of America. And basically it's in support of the displaced Ukrainian families. So I talked to a representative of that. That's an incredible story of what they do. They have a place called City of Hope that's on the border of Ukraine and Romania, if I remember correctly. But you got to check out the story because they get into how these women in Chicago started this and how they're helping families in the Ukraine. It's a very touching story, a lot of fun. But I would say the other thing I did that week, and you can go to this story in full at storiesfromthe78.com, is did you know, so Chicago has City Winery, and I believe there's one in New York and a couple other places, but the one in Fulton Market's great. It's a stunning place. It's huge. They make their own wine right there, hence why it's called the winery. But they also have a spot along the Chicago River, and that's called the City Winery at Chicago River or something like that. But they have this new enclosure, and for folks who live in Chicago know the weather could turn in a second, especially in April and May, or let's say even like October, November, September. So there's this big enclosure that kind of makes you feel like you're outside, but you're still inside. And that's where they have a lot of their events. So I went to the opening of that, and it was really cool. I got to hang out with my sister-in-law who works in the industry a little bit, but I did that and got to explore what that like. But the views are incredible. And if you want a view, and I talked to my friend Dan that works over there, does the marketing there, it's awesome. It's a great spot to take in live music. You can take a boat, ride right up to City Winery, dock right there, walk up, get some wine, listen to live music, and call yourself a little Saturday right there. I mean, fantastic event. And I topped off this week going to a show with my buddy Dan. And I've known Dan since Illinois State University. We both worked at WZND. He was a DJ. He taught me about some good music, because before that, I mean, I thought that cool music might have been Creed. And I say that out loud here for the world to hear. And I know they're having a revival, but, I love Pearl Jam, which is probably why I like Creed in a little bit. But Dan got me back on the right track, let's just say. And one of the people that we bonded over was a random band that a lot of people don't know but do know. It's a weird thing. Matthew Sweet. You've heard his music in movies, specifically in a movie called Can't Hardly Wait. There's a scene where, he's in a train station and he plays this song. It's called Further Down, one of the best songs I've ever heard, which he did not play at the Metro, but I digress. The show itself was great, and I put up the show. I just took little snippets of the show and just put a sights and sounds of what it was like to go see a show at the Metro. And the Metro Chicago is a legendary place. I'm so thankful for this place. Joe Shanahan bought the Metro and has kept it and only expanded on it, made it better. It is the place where bands like Metallica, only a few years ago, decided to come back and play because their first show in Chicago was at the Metro. And I think the tickets were $19. Like stuff like that happens there in the Cabaret Metro downstairs, or that is now Smart Bar. All these things that happen in there. You got to check it out if you've never been to the Metro. I believe it was an old Swedish like community center, because in Chicago, like Andersonville was very Swedish. Wrigleyville is just south of that, right down on Clark Street. Very Swedish population back in like the 20s and 30s. And it was like a event space where they community theater and stuff like that. And now it's this beautiful legendary spot. I mean, it's like the Troubadour in LA, the Metro in Chicago. You know what I mean? And seeing Matthew Sweet at a place like that was great, just because. And I do the whole thing where you start off, right? You go to the G-Man Tavern, which is the bar that's kind of connected to the Metro, but not. But it's all in the same little area. You go to the G-Man, you have a couple drinks, and I kind of walk you through being in the G-Man, and then you go in through the Metro, you go through the tickets, and you go up the stairs. You're on the first floor. Joe was very nice to get us a spot on the second floor. We saw the show from the balcony, which if you ever have a chance to do that at the Metro, it's a good place to see the show at a Metro event. And Matthew Sweet played for a couple hours. Dan and I, we loved the show. Hearing him play was great. We wish you heard a couple other songs, maybe a little rocker, more of a little bit of that vibe. But overall, I mean, the band sounded great. They were tight. He was great. We just wished it was longer, I guess. But nonetheless, a great show at the Metro. And we go afterwards, like we're, teenagers. After you go to a show, then you want to go and get something to eat, right? The concert's over. It's Wrigleyville. There's something open. So we go down. Oh, this is so bizarre. We go down to this place. It's called Almost Home. It's a newer bar it used to be the Piano Man, if those familiar in Wrigleyville. So we go in there and we order pizza. And then this guy comes up to me. He starts talking to me, and he works with like at-risk youth or at-risk anything, because I tell him what I do. I work in the media and I do this website, and he's telling me that I should go do a job or do a interview like underneath Wacker Drive downtown. Like he's like, that's the story, that's the stuff. And also along Addison and Lakeshore Drive, there's like the homeless camps down there doing the story. And I would love to do that. But then he's like, you can't bring a camera and you can't do this and you can't do that. I'm like, well, I kind of need something. And I'm not an idiot, and I don't want to go somewhere and like potentially get jumped, because I'm not saying that this guy was that guy, but you run into that when you're a member of the media. Some people don't like media members, regardless of what you do. They think we're evil. They think we have an agenda. And 9 times out of 10, the very people that people criticize are just people that are, Bobs and Toms and Cecilias and Aprils and Lauras and all that. They're just going to work, doing their job. They don't have an agenda. They just are doing what the news is. But there's this conspiracy theory out there that says that members of the media have an agenda. And that's just not true more times than not. And the ones that are true are the stations that you watch when you want to hear what you want to hear, like a Fox News, for example, or, CNN, for another example, to be fair, right? So he starts going in and talking about doing the story and doing this and doing that. And I don't know. I'm still thinking about it. I don't know if I should do the story, take him up on his offer for him to take me down to Lower Wacker Drive where those homeless, encampments are, to do the real story. I'm thinking about it now, but either way, that's not really in the video, but that's just a little behind the scenes moment at midnight at a bar in Wrigleyville where a guy's pitching me stories. And he was, homeless. He was an addict at one point. He talked to me all about his life story. So that itself was interesting. But those are the things that happen when you're walking around experiencing our beautiful city and seeing some live music. Anyhow, stories from the78.com, where you can find the story about the Eclipse, the Ukrainian women, the city winery, Chef Viviani and his new spot in the South Loop, Matthew Sweet, and the Ukrainian women. They had a fantastic story. And one thing I didn't mention, because it is what it is, but it's whatever, is Bricks and Minifigs. We did something for CBS2 Chicago. Basically, it's a place where you could take old Legos, trade them out for new ones. Fun little thing. There is a post at storiesfromthe78.com. Be sure to check that out. You got anything else, shoot it my way, tombarnerchicago@gmail.com. And also check out the website, storiesfromthe78.com. I got a lot of stories up there. Next week, we'll talk about swimming in the Chicago River and what that could be like. I talked to somebody about an event that they want to do this summer in Chicago, swimming in the Chicago River. So we'll see about that one. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next week.